Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new tutorial. This will be our first Android tutorial really. There's a previous one before this one. It's more of a setup tutorial, so I don't really count it. This will be our first actual app programming tutorial. And we're going to make a tip calculator. It's a very simple concept, but I think it's a great first project for people who are new to Android programming or programming in general. Since the concept is so simple, we can focus on learning the syntax and the structure of Android. Plus, just because it's simple doesn't mean we can't make it a good app. So this assumes that either you know how to set up your workstation for Android or you've done my setup tutorial. Okay, so let's get started. And like always, if you go to my website under tutorials, there's going to be a written version of the tutorial if you want to read instead of watching a YouTube video. But most of you probably prefer watching videos, so this is the video version. And if you go to my website before, say, mid-February, you'll realize that the tutorial isn't actually finished yet, so I'm making it while I'm doing the YouTube series. So that's why if you come here in like January and you notice that it's not done, it's because I'm not done yet. Okay, so let's move on. I will show you what the actual project the final product will look like, the thing that we're going to build. And if to get that, you can go to projects on my website, click download for the tip calculator, and it'll take you to the Google Play Store page for what we're going to make. And basically, there's a video here, you can see what it looks like, or you can just take a look at the screenshots. It's a decently nice looking and very functional tip calculator. And it was my first project, so now I want to make a tutorial about it. So if you want to try it, you can go download it, and then you'll know what our final product will be. So before we actually make the calculator, one more thing. The source for the finished project is already available. It's under projects as well on my website, and you can get the source here. Again, if you check and download the source before, say, mid-February, the source is going to be out of date because it won't match it with our tutorial exactly, but it'll be more or less what you were looking for. If you wait till after mid-February, I'll probably have an updated source up there that'll match up with the tutorial perfectly. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to plan our app. A tip calculator is simple, like I said, but that doesn't mean it can't be bad. And I think the best way to brainstorm for app planning is to actually look at the user reviews for other apps that's on the Play Store, so let's go do that. And by the way, all the links I use in this tutorial are going to be in the YouTube description, like always. So let's go to the Play Store, play.google.com, and let's search up tip calculator. And we'll click more app results, and we'll just take a look at the top 10 best results. We'll skip that one because that's not a real tip calculator. That's not a tip calculator. Okay, that's good. We have about 10 results there. And we'll just go to the user reviews. And we're actually going to click 1-star ratings. Because here's the thing. If we're going to make a good tip calculator, we want to avoid all the pitfalls that everybody else makes or falls for. We want to avoid all the mistakes that everybody else makes so that we don't fall in the same trap. So let's look at these reviews. Too bad, you didn't have the tax percent line included in there at all. I'd love to tip but based on the total food costs only. So in other words, this guy he wants the tax to be calculated properly. So that's one thing we can note. So we can open up Notepad while we're doing this brainstorming, and we're right. I'll zoom in since the text is so small. Make sure to calculate tax properly. Okay, easy enough. I installed this app and downloaded a competitor's app, presumably that's what he meant, because this app had a pro-Obama ad. Okay, right then. People don't like ads. Good thing to know. All of a sudden, the app stopped working. Okay. People don't like bugs. Keep that in mind. Try to crashes when I blah blah blah. Okay, that's another bug thing. Another tax thing, it looks like. Bugs. All I want is a simple tip amount. Worst app ever. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Bug. Needs work. AWE app. Okay, so I think that's all we're going to get from this guy. Let's take a look at the next one. Does not need to access my phone calls. Deleting. New permission uninstalled. Okay, so people don't like invasive permissions. Oh, no real surprise there. People dislike invasive. I don't know how to spell this. Don't like permissions that are unnecessary. Shoot, I don't know how to spell unnecessary either. People dislike permissions. There we go, that's fine. Okay, what else? Confusing, confusing. Okay, another tax thing. Poor interface. Does not calculate percentages correctly. Okay, again, permissions. Ad. So something is recurring here. They don't like permissions and they don't like ads. And they don't like things that are confusing. Okay, so that's what we got from this app. Don't make it confusing. Have a good user interface. And also, right here, does not calculate percentages correctly. So that's a big one. Make sure the math is right, for goodness sake. And that's really the easy part. Okay, next one, user reviews. 1 star. Confusing. Bug. Confusing. Bug. Confusing. It looks like a math thing. Nothing too enlightening there. I'm sort of going through this fast now since you get the idea of what we're trying to do when we're brainstorming. Just pick out all the bad things and then make sure we do not do them. Okay, no ads except of course for the pop-up ads and random text spams at all hours of the night. Well, that's bad. Don't spam your users. Because that's not nice, nobody likes that. Full internet access, another permission thing. So you see, people really don't like permissions for some reason. So we should not use them unless we absolutely have to. And if you don't know, permissions are like accessing information from your phone, like your browsing habits or your contact list, that sort of stuff. That sometimes ads use and then sell to advertisers. Incorrect calculations, that's a biggie. Like we said, make sure the math is right. Permissions, no ads, still has pop-up ads, that's ads. We covered that. Permissions. Anyone that tips 10% has no business eking out. Okay, that's one thing we can add. Make sure user can tip whatever she wants. Don't limit their tip percentage. At least don't limit it to 10% of all things. Make them have a lot of choice. User reviews, and we're half done, so bear with me. The planning part is actually really important, I think. Buggy, math. Looks like it's buggy and confusing. Buggy. Okay, so people don't like bugs. We've been through that. Raw math, tax, bug. New information here. No real way to split based on order. So one thing we're going to add to our tip calculator is a check splitter, because that's pretty useful if you eat out. That's the only real time you need like a tip calculator is when you have a lot of people and the calculation gets too hard to do in your head. And if you're with a lot of people, then maybe you want to split the bill, and so that's one feature that we're going to add. And one thing that all the tip calculators, at least all the popular ones, have right now is a check splitter that checks or that splits the check evenly between all members of the party. And sometimes you don't want that. In fact, most of the time you probably want to split the check proportionally based on what everybody ordered. And this is what this user wanted, so let's add that. Split check proportionately, something like that. Rounding. Oh, that's a good feature we should have. Good rounding feature, right? Only in US dollars. That sucks. It's basically a fancy calculator. How hard can it be? Okay. Make sure dollar units don't matter. I don't know why he cares that it's only in US dollars. You can just pretend they're in a different currency, right? Okay, it doesn't adjust the phone screen size. Will not load, crashes up when start switch. So bug and UI problems. 3 more to go. This one is going to be quick. Ugly UI and buggy. So it seems like the 2 biggest problems is buggy and UI, and the third one is probably permissions. Permissions, see, perfect example. Oh, and what you just saw there, guys. 1 second, sorry, this is a pet peeve of mine. This right here, don't do this. This is just aggravating. Give them 1 star and then not put a comment. Super annoying. But okay, let's finish up. Last one. User friendly. So UI, bug, 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 bug. Yeah, again, don't do this. This is not good. Okay, so we have to make sure that it does not have bugs. So we have to test extensively. And hopefully don't use too many permissions. Only use ones that you absolutely have to. And for this app, we're not going to use any, actually. What else is super important? Don't spam your users, and if you can avoid it, don't put ads for something as simple as a tip calculator. You don't want to make money off your first app. Let's not be greedy. This is just for practice. Okay, what else was super important? Ugly UI, right? So don't make it confusing. Have a good UI. Super important. Then some math stuff like tax, regular math, and splitting the check proportionally and rounding correctly. And then make sure the user can tip however much he wants, more or less, as well as not lock it to just US dollars. Well, again, I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure what the user was talking about, really. But okay, so once you have that all down, put it into like a nice Word document or something, or you could really even write it down on a piece of paper. But make sure you have it somewhere so you can refer to it when you're building the app. On the website, I basically have what we just did in an infographic. So it takes a bunch of the bad reviews and writes what we should or shouldn't do. So you can check that out. One thing I should notice is, or I should say, is that just because we're looking at the 1-star reviews doesn't mean these are bad apps. Just the opposite. In fact, these are the best apps. That's why they're the most popular. So what we're doing is taking advantage of the fact that although they're good, they're imperfect, and we can try our best to improve on them. Okay, so now that we got that done, we can move on to the next stage of planning, and I'm going to make that in a new video. So see you guys in a bit.